Hello everyone, welcome back. So in the last two sessions on cloud computing, we have discussed about the introduction to cloud computing and the different services offered by the cloud computing providers and the benefits of cloud computing. So in this current session, we are going to start with deployment models. So this is a very important concept that we should understand before using any cloud computing services. So what is a deployment model? So it defines where data is stored. So you know that whenever I am talking about any application, any project, any program, so it has mainly two things. One is the code and the data, right? So here, based on different types of deployment models, we define that actually where the data will be stored. Then when I have stored the data, then how it can retrieve, means what are the ways that different persons with the appropriate authentication can use that data or interact with that data. Okay, and where do the applications run, means where the data will be stored, where the programs will be stored, and where from the applications will actually execute. And then how much infrastructure need to manage, means when I have application, I have data, then of course there should be some hardware involved with that, right? Some infrastructure involved with that. So how I'm going to manage that, how much authentication or authorization I have on all those infrastructure part. So that is also decided based on different deployment models we choose. Okay, and there are broadly three types of deployment models. They are called public, private, and hybrid. So we'll discuss all these three in detail. Okay, so the first deployment model that we are going to discuss is the public cloud. So what is that? So in public cloud, there is no local hardware to manage. Okay, I don't have any hardware access or anything to manage, any upgrade I have to do, nothing. I don't have to do anything. Everything is done on the by the cloud provider only. Okay, everything runs on your cloud provider's hardware. So here in the public cloud, actually everything is there, all the hardware part is being maintained by the cloud providers. Okay, we may work on the operating system, the applications, the data that are going to be handled by us. And Microsoft Azure is an example of public cloud provider. So if you are thinking of implementing public cloud, then Microsoft Azure is an option. Okay, so now we'll discuss that what are the advantages and disadvantages, because whenever we talk about different types of anything, then the next question comes in our mind that why I will go for a particular type of deployment model, and when and why, right? That is very important. And what are the advantages, what are the disadvantages, those also we should know, and based on that we can take our decisions. So what are the advantages? So advantage is that it is highly scalable. Okay, so that means that as I don't have to maintain any hardware, and suppose I need more memory or more CPU, then it may require, right, based on our application performance or the requirements. But in this case, when I am working in a public cloud, then I need not bother about it. If I just pay for it, then I can go for scalability, that is very smooth in case of public cloud. Okay, then it is a pay as you go pricing. So that means that I don't have to pay always, means whatever I am using for now, suppose I want that high memory and CPU for 10 days, so I will pay only for 10 days. After 10 days, if it is reduced or it is increased, then based on that the price will increase or decrease. So I am only paying for whatever I am using, nothing is getting wasted. Okay, then comes no responsibility for maintenance or upgrade of the hardware. Of course, means as I am not maintaining the hardware, so I don't have any responsibility when I am using public cloud. Everything is being handled by the cloud provider. So if any hardware has any issue, then the replacement or the repair, everything will be handled by cloud provider. I don't need to get bothered or hampered by it. Okay, Then minimal technical knowledge required, of course, because as I don't have to handle the infrastructure, so it is not mandatory that I should be very much aware of everything, every hardware requirements or infrastructure requirements. Means I can concentrate only on the application part, software part. Okay, so that is the advantage. Whatever I need to maintain, I should know only that. The thing that I am not maintaining, I may not be very much aware of that thing. That is not required. That's not mandatory knowledge. Okay, then so these are all the advantages I can get when I am using public cloud. Now comes the disadvantages. So of course anything which has some advantages must have some disadvantages most of the time, right? Nothing can be 100% good. So it comes the disadvantages. So specific security requirements or business requirements cannot be met. So if your application or your program has some very specific requirement that okay, that type of security should be there, or that type of business requirement, so that cannot be done because it's kind of a generic solution. So this type of solution are given to everyone. So if you have very specific requirement, that may not be fulfilled, okay, in public cloud. Then suppose you are working in a particular country or particular region where there are different government policies or industry standards, so those things cannot be made because it is being created keeping in mind the general rules, general guidelines by most of the countries. So if you have very specific something that you cannot fulfill, means whatever is there, that only you can use. You cannot ask that okay, I need this security requirements, or I have to implement this policy. So that may get difficult. Everything cannot be fulfilled. Then no control over the hardware, of course. So as I told you that in the public cloud every hardware is being handled by the cloud provider only, so I cannot get any control on it. Okay, I don't have to do any maintenance, I don't have to take any overhead on that, but I cannot have the control as well. So these are the advantages and disadvantages of public cloud. Okay, next comes private cloud. So that is another type of deployment model. So here what happens, it is kind of your own infrastructure. Okay, suppose I have a company, so I have the cloud environment, I have my own data center with all the required hardware, and I create one environment there, and then I provide access to different users in my organization so that they can use the compute resources. Okay, so it's kind of that the organization itself is the owner of this entire cloud infrastructure, and they create the cloud within their organization, and their employees are using that as if they are using some public cloud. So it's kind of a public cloud created within a single organization. So that way you can think of it. That's why it's private. Purchase and maintenance of the hardware and software services responsibility of the organization, of course, means no one else is going to work for you. So if you are the the cloud administrators, or you are the owner of the company, then everything whatever means starting from the the planning, the purchasing, the maintenance, upgradation of all the hardware and software being used are responsibility of the organization itself. So that is how this private cloud. So you can just think that public cloud is kind of the entire world, one set of hardware and software are working, and private cloud means it is within only a specific organization the things are working. Otherwise the architecture is kind of same, but the public cloud is global, and private cloud is local. Okay, so next comes again the advantages and disadvantages of private cloud. So advantages are that configuration can support any scenario or legacy application, of course, because it's my own thing. So whatever way I want, I can configure. So I'm the owner, I have all the power, I have all the responsibilities at the same time. So any configuration is possible. Then control, and responsibility over security. Of course, whatever security implementation I want to do, I can do if I am the owner of this private cloud, and can meet strict security compliance or legal requirements. So whatever may be the requirements, whatever the way the compliance should be handled, the security should be handled, that can be done in private cloud, of course, because it is all about entire responsibility and control is within the organization. So whatever way we want, we can proceed with that. Next comes the disadvantages. So of course the cost. So I have to buy everything, so I have to think of what may be the possible requirements of hardware and software. So I have to buy everything if I am the owner of the private cloud. So there should be a huge cost, huge initial cost. Then owning the equipment limits the agility, of course, means as I have the I have everything with me, so I also know that what is the limit, because I am only a single organization. I cannot buy a lot of hardware, a lot of software if I don't know what may be the requirement in future. So agility and scalability, that also reduces, right? That all depends on how much planning I have done on how much initial cost I could bear. So that then it limits the thing, and it requires IT skills and expertise, of course, because if you have to do everything, every setup from scratch, then there should be some people with lot of knowledge who can work on that. So we need that expertise, and that can get sometimes very difficult to get this type of people. Okay, next comes hybrid cloud. So from the name you understand that it is some combination of something. So it is actually, it combines public and private cloud together. It allows to run applications in the most appropriate location. So I have two options. Suppose in my organization I have two options, that I have some part in public, some part in private. Okay, so it's like I can do, say, suppose a website could be hosted in the public cloud and link it to a highly secure database hosted in private cloud. It's possible, right? Because maybe I want my website to be in the public cloud, and when it needs some data, it should go to my database, and that I don't want to be put in the public cloud. Maybe my security requirements don't allow me that I just put it in public cloud. So for what I can do, that I can set up some private cloud and keep my database there, and then I can make a link between that website in public cloud to my database in the private cloud. So that way I can make a hybrid cloud concept. Okay, so now the advantages and disadvantages. So hybrid cloud, the advantages, of course, all the advantages of public and private cloud I can achieve, right? Whatever the best part of public cloud and best part of private cloud. Now comes the disadvantages. So it can be more expensive than selecting one deployment model. Of course, it can be expensive because I have to set up my private cloud, all the cost incurred, and then I have to buy something from the public cloud as well. So that will also incur some cost. So cost perspective, it will increase, and it can be more complicated to set up and manage, because if I want that something will be in private cloud, something will be in public cloud, then all the the links, the networking, this complicated design, everything needs to be done, so which may get complicated. Okay, so these are the three types of cloud deployment models, and when we will discuss on Microsoft Azure, it is basically public cloud. So keeping in mind, we will continue on Microsoft Azure in the coming sessions. Okay, so there are three categories of cloud computing. Those are named as infrastructure as a service, or in short IaaS. Then comes platform as a service, PaaS, and then software as a service. So now we have discussed about the deployment models. Now when we suppose we are in the public cloud of Microsoft Azure, then I can have three types of services that I can get. Okay, so these are the three types of services. We'll go in detail. Okay, so the first thing is infrastructure as a service. So here I have most control over the provided hardware that runs application. So here the control is more. Okay, instant computing infrastructure provisioned and managed over the internet. So actually there are the infrastructure that are provisioned and managed through the internet, and the starting from the operating system and the application and the data, everything we can handle when we have IaaS with us. Okay, so actually it is a shared responsibility model, it is called, because some of the responsibilities are there with the cloud provider and some with the cloud customer. So to ensure cloud infrastructure is functioning correctly, that is the responsibility of the cloud provider, and to ensure the services configured correctly, is up to date and is available to the customer, it is the cloud customer responsibility. So here, as part of infrastructure as a service, we are just taking the infrastructure from the cloud provider, and once the infrastructure is available with us, then whatever services, any configuration, operating system installation, all the application, running of the applications, everything is handled by the cloud customer only. So the cloud provider is always taking care that okay, the infrastructure is working fine or not. So that is only the responsibility for the cloud provider, but rest of the part, the configurations, the software, the whether the upgrade is done or not, so the performance, whether they are available or not, all these things are responsibility for the customer who has actually bought this IaaS. Okay, so the main uses of IaaS is migrating workloads, means suppose I have something, some work, some entire project is there in on-premise service, I can just move it as it is to IaaS. So that would be more easy. I don't need to make much changes, because here kind of I'm getting only the infrastructure. So on that I can do my entire software loading, configuration, etc. And then test and development. So I can set up some temporary environment. Suppose for a project some development environment or some test environment need to be created, so that I can do with IaaS. Okay, then for different type of storage, okay, I need some storage for keeping some data, maintaining some different structures of data, so I can use this IaaS. And then for backup and recovery, so it's kind of a data related thing, so I can do some backup of some entire application or some database, so I can take backup and recovery. That also I can do through IaaS. The next thing is PaaS, platform as a service. So here I am provided with environment for building, testing and deploying software applications. So here I don't need to think of the software, means the minimum requirement of operating system or the configurations I cannot do. So I can only concentrate on creating and testing and deploying the software applications. Okay, complete development and deployment environment in the cloud. So everything will be there in the cloud only. So it is as if everything required for my starting of the application development will be provided by the cloud provider. So I can just start working on the development of the application, that I can just start with without thinking of other prerequisites. Okay, resources are purchased from a cloud service provider on a pay-as-you-go basis and accessed over a secure internet connection. Of course, you know that in case of PaaS, what will happen, that I am not taking the entire hardware, I am not purchasing. Here I am only purchasing the specific resources that I want for my application development and deployment. So I will pay only for whatever I am using, and if I am going to use more or less, then my payment will also change accordingly, and everything is accessed over a secure network connection, because all the software and this operating system and the software on that will be installed in those hardware, maybe wherever it is maintained. So I am just accessing this with adequate authentication and authorization through secure network connection. Okay, so where do we use? Of course, development framework. Means there are different frameworks also provided by the cloud providers, where we can very easily develop our applications without less complexity. So I can use it mainly for some application development, then analytics or business intelligence requirements. Means when we have some data, I have to do some analysis, I can have some database, I can have some data warehouse. So this type of services I can use as platform as a service. Next comes software as a service or SaaS. So software that is centrally hosted and managed for the end customer. So here I'm not developing any software. Software is also provided by the cloud provider, and it is only being used by all the customers with some some licensing, which may be some monthly subscription or annual subscription. I can just use the software, and it will be one version of the application. All the customers can use the single version of the software. So here I am not developing anything, I am just user. So as an end user, I am using the software, that is being termed as software as a service. Okay, example is Office 365, Skype. So these are the examples of software as a service. So I am not going to develop anything or change anything. Here I am only going to use the software through cloud provider. So that is software as a service. Okay, so this is a diagram given by Microsoft Azure. So it can help us understand among the different types of services. So the first one is on-premise. So on-premise, you know that I should have my desktop or laptop with me, and everything should be there. Means I need to manage everything. So starting from networking, storage, servers, virtualization, then operating system, then is there any middleware, any runtime, everything. Means all the required hardware, and then networking, then the operating system, then all the required software, everything should be managed by us only when we are working on-premise server. There is no one to take care of. The organization need to take care of everything. Okay, data, applications, and so on. Now if you go to infrastructure as a service, then you can see that these four parts, that is networking, storage, server, and virtualization. So that is being handled by the providers. Okay, the cloud provider will handle this. So as if I am getting one machine or a set of machines in the lab. Suppose I have to do some lab on SQL Server. Okay, so here in case of IES, what I am getting the entire machines, and they are well connected networks, everything is there. And then what I am doing, based on my requirement, suppose whatever operating system I choose, so I need to install the operating system, then all the middleware, runtime. Okay, I have to install, and then SQL Server, I will install SQL Server, and then whatever application I create, the data I will manage in the machine. So those things are my responsibility as case of infrastructure as a service. Okay, then comes platform as a service. So it's kind of, you can see that networking, storage, server, virtualization, operating system, middleware, runtime, everything are the responsibility of the cloud provider. So it's kind of that the machines are already provided with SQL Server installed in it, the appropriate operating system, the runtime, the software, everything is installed. So you can just go there and start creating your application. Suppose you want to create a specific database application, so you can just start creating the application. You need not bother about what installations are required. So you can only concentrate on your application and data. So that is platform as a service. And then if you come to software as a service, you can see that all the parts are being managed by the provider. So here we don't need to manage anything. Software as a service is kind of that the software is ready, we are just having the appropriate authentication and authorization, and we just use it. So that is software as a service. That's why in software as a service, no part is being managed by me if I am the cloud customer. So that's how we can categorize different types of cloud computing services. Okay, so we'll stop now. So we have the concept of the different deployment models and different categories of cloud computing services, and in the next session we'll go in more details of Microsoft Azure services. Okay, thank you.